Hey everybody, this is Cinco coming to you live on a Monday morning for me here in Texas, in the great Republic of Texas, where it is crazy weather right now. That's little, where is he? There he is. That's little Duke back there. That's my boy Duke. He's 17 years old. He's chilling with me in the office today. Uh, I know it looks like I'm coming to you from mom's basement. I swear to God, I do not live in mom's basement. This is just the spare room in my house where I do my work. Still getting it under control for the reno in here. It is not a priority, so sorry for the mess, but it is getting better. That new shelf I got in the background. I've got my 3D printer set up properly now. I got a workbench going in over here. So it's starting to get a little more, little mo better in here. So anyway, Cinco Doggos coming to you live on X as well as the YouTube today. Wanted to talk a little bit about a couple things. First of all, we're going to talk about just some basic mining news, some things that have popped up in the news. Then we're going to talk about cleaning BITAXes. Some people have been asking about that. How do you take care of your BITAX? How often do you clean it? So we'll go over that. It'll be a short little segment to do that. And then we're going to go into some upgrades for BITAXes that are very easy for anyone to do. If I can do it, anyone can do it because I am retarded. So yeah, if I'm able to do it, believe me, you can. It took me a little bit of tinkering with things, but once I figured it out, it was like that was it. Once the first one was done, guys, everyone after that is just boom, boom, boom. I don't know if you can kind of see up there. I know it's kind of far away, but you can see the Noctua fans that are on a couple of mine right there that I've done upgrades on already. I'm just waiting for parts to come in to do the rest of them. But we also have a special project we're going to talk about as well that is going to be coming out that I'm working on with one of the Texas makers of BITAXes, one of the standards when you look for a BITAX where to purchase it. This will, if you're not building it yourself, you've heard of these folks. I'll talk about that here in a little bit when it's time to talk about that. But just wanted to kind of bring that up, let you guys know that we are doing good over here right now. I've had some people ask about how things were with the floods. We are not in the Kerrville area. I'm in the greater Houston metro area. So we are not close enough to Kerrville that was an issue, thankfully. Unfortunately, there was a lot of loss of life out there, and it was just crazy. If you guys have been watching the news, it's just been nuts. That has also had an impact on mining in Texas as well, and Bitcoin mining, and we'll talk about that a little bit as well. I'm not trying to play down the loss of life at all, but this is a Bitcoin podcast, a Bitcoin mining podcast, or a video, and so it does tie into that. So we're going to be talking about that. So some things that we're going to discuss, like I said, we're going to talk about simple upgrades for the for BITAXes, how to clean your BITAX. I've had some questions that have come in, and I'm going to talk about those, as well as two things in the news that I saw recently. So, first off, if this is your first time watching, my name is Cinco Doggos. Thank you very much for tuning in. I encourage you to please like and subscribe if you're on YouTube. That does help me out. I do not make money off of the things I do. This is not something I really do for profit. I do it because I love doing it. I love to be in the mining world. I love mining. This is not all I do. I don't just do the little BITAXes and stuff, which is fine if that's what you do. I also have some medium boy miners and the big boy miners I'm going to be getting into later this year. The ones that are going to be hosted somewhere other than my house, because I don't want to shut down the power grid in my damn neighborhood, just trying to power things. And as we're going to talk about with Texas weather, really not the best place where I'm at to be doing it. It's also kind of humid here, so that doesn't go too well with the mining aspect, and I don't feel like doing a full build out in my house or a shed. I don't really have the room for that to do a full layout, but that's a completely other episode. Now, the other thing, you see over here, you see the mic? I'm not using this one, so if you're like, oh man, your mic's not by your mouth, I have a boom mic over here that I use. So I'm not that retarded, guys. This is supposed to be out of the way. I just keep this on so I can hear my little sound cues, like when Mr. Sailor says,
there is no second best.
Things like that. So just wanted to make sure I'm able to hear if there's something that keys off. So anyway, if you are tuned in, if you are tuning in, please give me a shout in chat if you can see everything and hear everything okay, just so I know it's working properly. That really does help me out as well. I can see my chat over here, so pull up my multi-stream chat. There we go. And let me just say hi to everybody. Hey everyone. Got that going there. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started. So the first things we're going to talk about, my dogs. This is one of the questions I've had, and I'm going to make this pretty short. Why Cinco Doggos? Why do I got a bunch of dogs? I love dogs. Okay, for over a decade, I did work with and run a large. It was a training, grooming, bathing kennel facility here in Texas, and I worked with dogs daily. I loved it. I absolutely loved it. It was not something I really ever saw myself getting into. Like, I didn't grow up saying I want to work with dogs. I love dogs, but I didn't do that as like I didn't make that a career choice like coming out the gate. You know what I mean? After I got out of the military, I was in the Navy for almost a decade. When I got out of the Navy, I had my degree. So at my undergraduate, I went into insurance, and I was going to go into law enforcement. Decided not to. I figured I'd make better money and get shot at less if I went into insurance. And yeah, it worked better with my business degree anyway. So anyway, I did that, and then one of my friends, he was retiring, and he had said, "Hey, we have this business that works with dogs. We could really use your help running it. We're not, able to do it on a day-to-day anymore." And I said, "All right, I'll take a look at it." And yeah, I ended up doing that for over 10 years, and it's still going. Actually, my former partner, he runs it now. He was my business partner. He runs it now. And he's doing great with it. He continued it on and grew it even bigger. But the whole point of that is I love dogs. Hey, Jamie. Thank you. Appreciate it. Thanks for letting me know. It sounds great. So love dogs. It just seems like the reason why we call it Cinco Doggos, for some reason it seems that my wife and I always have 5 dogs. Guys, this is not planned. I swear to you. All right? I swear on my Not Your Keys, Not Your Coins shirt that I'm wearing. From withoutrulers.com. I swear that I do not choose to have 5 dogs. It just happens that way. If we have a dog pass away within a few weeks or a month, all of a sudden another stray shows up at the house. I'm not even kidding you. So we always tend to have 5 dogs. You might see, he's sleeping over there. Little Duke is sleeping underneath my workbench. Duke is my Chiweenie, half Chihuahua, half Dachshund. He showed up in our garage one day 15 years ago, and he's been here ever since. He's 17 years old now, and he's still doing okay. We've got Gordy. You guys, Gordy because he's the mascot on everything. I love Huskies. Huskies is kind of my Siberian Huskies are kind of my thing. So all my symbols that you see with the Husky, that's Gordy. Okay, so Gordy's my boy. He's named after Gordie Howe, the hockey player. I love hockey. So that's where that comes from. We have our dog Sissy. She was another one from Abandoned Animal Rescue over in Montgomery, Texas, or Magnolia. I'm sorry, they're in Magnolia, Texas. They're a great rescue, a no-kill shelter. And whenever they get dogs that are blind, they call me because I've had a number of blind dogs through the years, and it's easy for me to work with them. I'm used to it. So Sissy's blind. She gets around the house fine. She's an older girl as well. We've got Bogey. Bogey's another AAR dog, Abandoned Animal Rescue dog. He's like a black lab mix, and he's like neurotic as hell. And then a few weeks ago, we had Dougie show up at our house. Okay, so named after another hockey player. I love the New Jersey Devils. I was born and raised in New Jersey, but we named him after Dougie Hamilton, the defenseman. And so Dougie's here. We call him Douglas, or we call him Dougie Ham and Cheese. And Dougie's here with us, and he's a nutball, and he just got clipped, he just got neutered, so he's walking around with his lampshade on, his cone of shame, his martini glass, and I had to close the door. Usually I let them run in and out of here during the show, but I decided today I'm not going to do that because they were really being vocal when they're playing, and I don't like to dissuade that. That's good that they're playing and being vocal, so I just let them do their thing out there, and I close the door. So that's my dogs, okay? Okay, so let's get into the news that I found. Now, I found this on bitcoinnews.com. This is my first time at this site. I haven't seen this before. Let me go ahead and share my screen for y'all, so you don't have to look at my ugly mug. Oh, and then up here in the upper left-hand corner, if you guys can see it, I don't know if you can see this too well, but on one of my other screens, I've got the split screen. I've got my node running Bitcoin knots. I did close off a couple. I'm bouncing between 7 and 12 peers right now. I usually have about 30 to 40 peers, but I closed off some ports because I had to use them for other things today. And I didn't feel like doing like a full reset. So anyway, I just shut down a couple ports. So I'm down to like 12 peers instead of the usual 30 or 40 that I normally have. But Bitcoin Knots is running over here. I love what Leo did with the making it the umbral look like the ones that Core did. So I really like how that looks. That's a cool visualization. And then over here I have my mempool running as well so that I can see what's going on. The big thing here that I watch is this right here in the middle, which is the difficulty adjustments. As a miner, that is something that I pay attention to. So let me go ahead and just hit refresh on that. Okay, so going over here, back to Bitcoin News. So bitcoinnews.com, cool little site. So this article is by Alex Laurie here. It came out on the 7th, so a week ago today. And it says, Texas weather crises and grid strains slam Bitcoin mining in June. Latest heat waves, power curtailments, and floods caused Texas Bitcoin mining operations to take a hit, dropping the network's hash rate by 10%. So, I'm sure if you watch the news, even if you just watch Bitcoin or financial news, you know that the impact that the weather does have on Bitcoin, right? So, here in Texas, especially my part, I'm in Houston. Right now, we are in that part of the year, July and August, when it is just the hottest, right? It is just the hottest. And for me in the Houston area, it's also the most humid. So what we're seeing lately here is very high temps in June and July so far, as well as lots of humidity, lots of rain. Okay, and now you'd usually think like, oh, well, rain's good, it helps cool it off. It creates a huge humidity bump too, which just hugs that heat down on top of you. It gets very burdensome. It's like a wet blanket. And for someone like me, a home miner, where I have my like S19s in the garage, that means it's a buildup of humidity. We don't like humidity in the miners, okay? You really want nice dry air. So the humid air, it just bothers me because that, thinking of the longevity of my machines, that humid air pushing through across those circuit boards and stuff. Now, of course, it's not like a water hose hitting it, but that's not the point. There's humidity nonetheless. Could I stick a dehumidifier out there? Yeah, I could, but then that's, again, tapping into my power. And right now, that's not something that I want to do. My power right now is, I'm almost maxing out near my 200 amps for my home before the power company would make me, set up a second building here. So, anyway, yeah, it's possible that the hot fans from the miners does help dry out the air in the garage as well. I tend to keep my extra filament for my 3D printers out there because it keeps it nice and dry. But yeah, so that is a problem. The floods, the extreme heat, we start having power flickers. For anyone who lives in Texas, you know who ERCOT is. It's basically the board who oversees power distribution in Texas, especially during an emergency. Okay. Back a few years ago, we had a freeze here in Texas. It was like a 100-year freeze. It hadn't frozen like that in a long time. We hadn't had a freeze like that. And what did it do? It caused the power grid to crash. And it was not managed properly by ERCOT, and like natural gas was offline. It was a debacle. Well, we constantly have power flickers here in Houston to the point that like I've looked at, do I want a home generator? What do I want to do? So the first step I did was I went with a company called Base Power. They're out of Austin, and they came in. They became my power company because we can select our power companies here in Texas. We put a backup battery. They install a backup battery on your house. It's like a 24-hour battery. Does that allow me to mine crypto while the power's out? No, it does not. But I can keep my AC on, my fridge cold, and some of my lights on. So at least, and charge my phones. So at least that way I've got power, right? But when the power starts flickering and we know the thunderstorms are coming, we tend to go ahead and smart miners shut down their miners. Yesterday, my miners were offline for about 6 hours because thunderstorms and the power was going up and down, and that's just a pain in the butt, guys. And of course, you're sitting there looking at your phone, and looking at the loss of pool money as you're doing it because your hash rate goes down, so you're not participating as much. And it's like crap, that's not fun. So that's a problem here in Texas right now. Now I know, and Texas is huge for Bitcoin mining right now. So when there's power problems, curtailments, and the other issues we run into, the heat waves, it causes an issue here with the greater network of mining. Okay, so when Texas has to drop down its mining ability, you do see it reflected in the network because there are so many mining farms, so many large mining farms here right now. IREN is here, IREN, and I think, doesn't CleanSpark have a place here as well? But anyway, Riot Platforms, Marathon, Cypher, Kango, There's a lot of big mining companies that are here in Texas. So when that power drops down, it's noticeable on the network. Okay, so that's news number one. Just wanted to kind of talk about that. A lot of problems with that. With the it's summertime. We anticipate that if we mine here in Texas, there's going to be some issues. Hopefully, one day that's not an issue anymore. But for right now, it is. Now, we're going to, and see, like, related, Bitcoin mining, clean energy, and grid balance, and ERCOT study. Not a big fan of ERCOT. But anyway, I'm going to go to the other article. So that's a good article. I encourage you to go check out bitcoinnews.com/mining and check out that article. So the other one, this one came out a while back, but I didn't know about this, so I wanted to bring it up, see if anyone else has. Norway to ban Bitcoin mining centers in 2025 to save energy. This is, again, by Alex Laurie. So Norway will temporarily ban new Bitcoin mining centers from autumn 2025. This decision is part of the government's plan to save energy and prioritize it for industries that it believes would benefit the country and society more. So this ban is not due to anything related to power grid struggles or anything like that, like we were just talking about in Texas. This is simply politicians saying, well, we want that power to go somewhere else. So, and here we go. Carrie Ann Tung, Norway's Minister for Digitalization and Public Administration, quote, cryptocurrency mining, cryptocurrency, not Bitcoin, cryptocurrency mining, so that's a flag right there of their knowledge level. Cryptocurrency mining is very power intensive and generates little in the way of jobs and income for the local community. As a Labour Party government, we have a clear goal to limit cryptocurrency mining in Norway. So basically, to me, this article should have been entitled, Norwegian government to put foot on neck of those seeking sovereignty and ability to mine their own Bitcoin. So that's what it is to me. It's government overstep saying you can't do this because we don't want you to do it. We don't think it benefits us, our Norwegian society as a whole. Pretty disappointed in that, Norway. Pretty disappointed in that. So I just hope our folks in Norway can have their stuff hosted in other places. Give the guys over at Iowa Mining a call. Give Nate a call. Hit him up. Maybe you can get your stuff sent over there. You can buy your miners, have them shipped direct to him, and then he can put them online for you. And then you're not doing anything with the Norwegian power grid. So, and they can't hold you accountable for that. But anyway, that's that. Just checking chat. Okay, we're good. Hi, I see we got about 25 people in here. So hi, everybody. So that's the first news we're going to be talking about today. Now we're going to go ahead and go over to. I was just looking at this real quick, so there was an alert, but nothing too important going on there. Okay, so I'm going to minimize that. Next, we're going to talk about, let me go full screen for this, guys. This will be a little easier. Next, we're going to talk about cleaning your BITAXE, okay? So I've been asked, Cinco, how often do you clean your BITAXE? What do you do to clean your BITAXE? Why do you clean your BITAXE? So, first of all, my house gets really dusty. We have renovations going on here, and I've got dogs. And I've got huskies. So dog hair everywhere, right? Dog glitter. So, yes, Jamie just said in chat, we need way more home miners. You're absolutely correct, Jamie. I couldn't agree more. And one of the things I'm going to talk about here in a little bit, involving a cool project that I'm working on with the guys over at Solo Satoshi, will kind of key in on that, okay? So stay tuned for that, because we are going to talk about that today. I got some cool little stuff to show you guys. But, cleaning your BITAXE. We're going to talk about this. This is just going to be a quick little segment, and then we're going to get into upgrades and then the cool stuff that I think it's cool because I'm part of it and I think it's neat. But anyway, so cleaning your BITAXE. Let me see I grabbed one of my BITAXEs over here. So you got your BITAXE, right, guys? So the key thing is keeping the blades between your heatsink clean and your fan clear of any debris. All right. So generally, you'll see that the in between those, trying to do this so you can see it easy. Oop, there we go. Those gaps in between the heatsink blades, you want to keep those as clean as possible, okay? And the best way to do that is really just some compressed air. And what I do is I got one of these little things. I just looked up on Amazon a while back. I looked up an air blower, like a keyboard cleaner. That's what I looked up, keyboard cleaner. And this came up. It charges via USB-C. And then this is going to be super loud, okay? So I'm going to try to keep it low, but it is super loud. But when I turn it on, let me see here. Try to keep that kind of quiet. But anyway, this thing could quite literally blow a Bitcoin off a table when I max it out. It's got a like little power slider, but it's really just that's it. I just kind of blow in between there, get that out, and then the fan. You just want to be careful if you can. You don't want to make it spin by itself too much. You can harm the fan, but that, and then I'll take like an alcohol prep pad, okay, and I'll just kind of gently clean the edges around here, around where the heatsink sits, because that's where it seems that a lot of the dust and gunk builds up as well. And then I'll just check the back as well. Now, we'll talk about, I've added a couple heat sinks as well, but yeah, this is your basic Solo Satoshi. This is how it comes up until now. I know they got the Dark Horse now. Okay, so that's going to be changing. You're not going to see these metallic colored heat sinks moving forward. But that was the generic one. So anyway, that's that, and that's a generic fan on there. This is basically stock, except for those little crappy non-copper heat sinks that I added. So I do mine about every 2 weeks. I clean these about every 2 weeks. That's all I need to do. If your house is cleaner than mine and you don't have a bunch of activity and things like that going on, pardon me, guys, you may only need to do it about once a month, once every 2 months. However, I would recommend you at least inspect it weekly. You don't have to turn it off or anything. Just go over, look at your BITAXE, and just take a peek. Turn the flashlight on your phone, just kind of peek around, see if it's got dust buildup. If it does, clean it. That's really it. Make sure also that you are checking on your Axe OS. You are checking to see if there is updates to the firmware. Okay, it is super easy to do. I can't pull it up on my screen here for you guys. Unfortunately, I'm sorry, because I have all my stuff set up on a laptop over here that's connected to that network. But basically, you just go into your Axe OS. You log in through your 192.168, whatever, like you did when you set it up. And there's a button that says settings, and you click that, and this is if you don't have the newest update. And then down the bottom of it, under all the statistics and all that, it says latest release, and you can click that, and it'll tell you what the latest release is, okay? I'm not saying that you have to upgrade every time there's a firmware upgrade. That's not always the best thing to do, because if you do upgrade and you notice that you're not getting the firmware, and you notice you're not getting the same quality, revert. Just go to GitHub, revert, and put the old firmware back on there. I usually keep the last 3 saved on my laptop, the last 3 firmware updates. So that way, if I update and something goes wrong, I have it right there. It's ready to go. I don't delete it. And then every 3, I just drop one off. So that's my method, because I got a little Chromebook over here that, let me show you. I have a little Chromebook that's all it is. It's all my mining stuff. And it just kind of sits here, and I can monitor it easily when I'm at work. As you can see behind me, I work from home, so I work here. And then if I'm out in the living room or whatever, I'll go ahead and I'll just bring my laptop out with me, so I can just click a refresh button and see what my things are doing. But anyway, check your firmware, see if it's updates you want. If you've updated to the latest firmware, I think it's 29.0. The latest firmware, there's now a button that actually says, I think it says update. So you can click that and it brings you right to that screen. So you don't have to search through the settings to find it. So anyway, on your left-hand menu, there will be an update button, and then it just does it. If you have any issues doing an update, if you're not sure how to flash your firmware, doing that through the Axe OS, ping me on X, just shoot me a DM. I'd be happy to walk you through it. It is super simple. Again, it's one of those things. This is what I love about BITAXEs, guys. Once you learn how to do something once with a BITAXE, you can do it on all of them. That's just how it works, okay? They're that simple. They're great technology, and it is so easy, anyone can do it. Hey, Sign, good morning, buddy. Let's see. So, so super easy to do that. But keeping it clean, just a quick recap. You want to clean between the fans, the blades on your heatsink. You want to make sure there's no dust buildup on anything. I usually give the old Nintendo disc blow as well on the power connector, and then just making sure there's no dust buildup on the back either, anything like that. And the fan, like I said, I'll either use an alcohol prep pad, or I'll take a Q-tip and dip it in some alcohol and just kind of gently rub the fan blades themselves to get any buildup off of there. Hey, buddy. So yeah, and that's it. That's how I keep them clean. All right. So, and you don't want to soak it in alcohol, just a little bit. And then, cause that evaporates super quickly. So it doesn't leave any liquid problems on your BITAXE, right? We don't want to do that. So that's cleaning it. That's that simple. Now, guys, we're going to talk about the next two topics, which is some simple upgrades, but it's also going to segue into the cool little project that I have going that popped in my head a couple days ago or a week ago. I brought it up to some people that are smarter than me over at Solo Satoshi and a guy who does some cool 3D design because I'm terrible at it. And I got some people to help me out. Okay. And I got a cool project. I think it's cool. It's cool to me. So I think you guys will like it. But first, let's talk about some really, really simple upgrades you can do to a BITAXE. Okay, really simple. First of all, one of the things I was going to talk about is heat sinks. Okay, but here's the cool thing. Right now, we've got like 3 companies, I think, 3 of the major sellers of BITAXEs that I trust, which is Solo Satoshi, PlebSource, and Ixtech, and all 3 of them are coming out with cool new heat sinks. The NDB, yep, the Nintendo Disc Blow. Exactly, JV. Gotta keep Duck Hunt and Contra clean. But those 3 companies have all just simultaneously started saying, you know what? We can design a new heatsink. We can create a heatsink that works better to put on the chip, and then we get better hash rates, and the chips last longer, and the Bitcoin is a healthier device. Let's do that. So all these cool ones. You got the Dark Horse coming out from Solo Satoshi. Like I said, Ixtech got theirs. That's kind of got that cool little weird design to it. And then PlebSource is also working on stuff as well, I believe. So we've got these cool little projects. There's all these folks doing cool things. And the heatsink is usually the first thing people talk about. The heatsink and the fan, right? So heatsink and fan, right? Those are the 2 major things that people talk about. There's some things that go along with that we're going to discuss, but I'm going to pull up a screen right now. So that way I can show you some example photos, and we'll go from there. Let me see here. X, gamma. Let me see here. I got to find one real quick that'll be easy to look at. And I'm just going to go on the web and do a quick image search, and we'll find some examples. Okay, let me see here. I'm just going to, you know what? I know where I'm going to go. We're going to go here because I know they've got it on their site. I'm going to go to plebsource.com, and they have like a photo of an upgraded one on here somewhere. Sorry, guys. Sorry for the wait. Here we go. All right. Let's go to the live scene. So, Sign, thanks for reposting that, buddy. Okay, so I'm just using this as an example. So we're over here. I'm over here on the PlebSource website, okay? And just because I want to use this photo as a main example, okay? So this here is an example of the upgraded of one of the upgraded styles, okay? El Mirage for Xtech. Thank you, Sign. I appreciate that. I knew it. I forgot what its name was, but it's cool looking. We'll talk about that here in a bit. So anyway, upgrading from the standard heatsink, which is not always the greatest. It's standard, right? It's basic. Some people say that it's so, take it as you will. You could run your stuff fine on it. You do not have to upgrade your stuff. Let me make this perfectly clear and abundantly clear. But if you're a person who wants to try to maximize your hash rate with your Gamma or your Supra, you want to try to get a little bit extra out of it, you're going to need to do a couple things, okay? Also, if you're just a person who likes to tinker, this can actually be fun, okay? I'm not going to lie. But you got to be careful. You don't want to break your BITAXE, all right? So there's a couple things you're going to need to do this. Number one, you're going to need a better heatsink. The one that I've been using, which we're going to get away from because I'm pretty sure I'm going to be going to the Dark Horse. I still have to test it. I need to get one from Solo Satoshi so I can test it out. But I think the Dark Horse is the way I'm going to go. But go over to Amazon real quick because this is the easiest way to show it. And let's do Geek Pie. I think that's what it's called, is the one I use. The Geek Pi. Yeah, low profile cooler. Here we go. Okay, Geek Pi low profile cooler. This is the one I generally use right now. So here's the issues with this, guys, and this is why the shops coming out with their own heat sinks is such a cool idea. Anton, how you doing, buddy? Good to see you. This right here, it's made for a Raspberry Pi, so it works fine with a BITAXE. And basically it is, and I got one back there, I just don't feel like getting up and unplugging it and showing it to you guys, I'm sorry. But we'll kind of look at this is a good example of it, okay? So basically it's a large large blade of heatsink blades to dissipate the heat. It has 3 or 4, I think it's 3 copper lines that run down into a flat plate, and that's what makes contact with the top of the chip, of your ASIC chip, okay? So it transfers the heat from the ASIC up to the copper. The copper pipes come up into these blades that are here. That's all the silver part that you're seeing there. And then it dissipates the heat. And the fan is moving the air between those blades to dissipate that heat, okay? It's very simple thermodynamic process, okay? Generally, it comes with this fan when you buy this unit, but I upgraded it to a Noctua all the time. I prefer the Noctua fans. They're quieter, they run more efficiently, and they just tend to move more air. So anyway, that's that. That's object number 1 for upgrades. Now, again, we're coming into a new era with these new heat sinks that are coming out from the power players in selling the Gammas. We may not need to get this Geek Pi thing. These new heat sinks may work fine. We just got to slap the Noctua fan on top of it. And a Noctua fan, this is a 40 millimeter version of it. Okay, it's just a fan, just a little PC fan. Okay, we'll talk more about that in a minute. But you slap that on top of it. For these, you don't use a 40, you use a 60. Again, I'm going to put in the show notes. I'll put I can actually make a little shopping list for this stuff so that you guys can see what you need. But it's also all over the web. I did not invent this myself. I've just done what the other guys who are very good at this, the other folks, do. Okay. Also, when you buy these, just so you know, if you're getting them from Amazon, I have to wait till August to get this. Like, it's going to be a while before this comes in. For some reason, they're like super backlogged right now. So that's kind of a pain in the butt. So hopefully I can get my hands on a Dark Horse or an El Mirage, and I can test it with that. So anyway, one of the things to watch out for when you're buying your fans is how many pins your BITAXE has for its fan. Okay. Now it's going to depend on who your manufacturer is. Okay. Some folks use a 3-pin. Some folks use a 4-pin. All right. It's all going to depend. And that's right there. You can see your connectors. Okay. Boop, boop, boop. Right. Oh, I'm sorry, guys. Right there. All right. So you just got to make sure you know. And they snap right out, in and out. You just be careful. It comes off the pins. Yeah. Definitely. Anton says he recommends the Noctua on the Gamma. So just make sure you're picking the correct pin setup, okay? So that way you're not getting frustrated like, oh man, I have a 4-pin and this is a 3-pin fan. It'll tell you right in the when you start buying the Noctua fans. Noctua 60 millimeter fan 4-pin. Like, I can look it up like that, right? So so the slim profile 4-pin Noctua fan. This is what would go on top of that Geek Pi, okay? And it comes with everything you need. We're going to kind of talk about this stuff here in a second. If you want to have a rear fan on your case, and we're going to talk about a cool project that I'm working on, okay? Oh yeah, we're going to talk about the thermal paste sign, definitely. That's definitely up next. So if you want to use a rear fan to blow cool air or to move air off of your voltage, the back of the board, where the voltage regulator tends to heat up, okay? If you want to move the heat off of that, then it is good to remember that you have a Y cable, a splitter, that is right in your Noctua fan kit. So you can run 2 fans off of 1 connection, okay? Key thing there is make sure it's mounted properly, it's aimed properly, all that stuff. So, and we're gonna do a build when I get my new heatsink. I'm gonna do an actual build right on camera because it only takes about 10 minutes to build to fully upgrade it. Honestly, So we can do that quick on camera one day. But okay, so we've got that. Now the other thing, and Sign just brought it up. You take off your old heatsink, you take off your old fan, you've got your bare chip there. You're going to want to use an alcohol prep pad. You're going to want to clean off the existing thermal paste. Okay? You want to get rid of that. You're going to put better thermal paste on there. And what I've been using is, let's do the search for Grizzly thermal paste. Okay? And let's see here. I want to see if it shows me the one that I purchased in May. Here we go. This is what I got. I got the Cryonaut, the Thermal Grizzly Cryonaut Extreme. It cost me $24.99 US fiat dollars for that tube. And that tube has lasted me, I think I've used a third of it, and I've done like 8 gammas. Okay, so like that $25, that's an investment. That's not $25 per gamma that you need that, because you're putting like the size of a grain of rice of thermal paste, and that is it. So you clean really well on the chip. You dry it, which it's already evaporating because it's just alcohol prep. And then you dry it to make sure there's nothing on there. And then you put a little tiny line of your thermal paste right on the chip, okay, of the Cryonaut Extreme. All right. That's going to give you better conductivity, moving that heat from the ASIC chip to the transfer plate of your heat sink, the bottom of your heat sink, so that it can move it up to those blades or through the copper pipes, whatever setup you have. And then that way your fan, your Noctua fan, blowing the air between the blades is dissipating that heat. And it's a cycle. It's just a cycle. Okay, so it's believe it or not, guys, this is so simple. Once you do it once, it's like, oh my God, this is so easy. So, but yeah, let me see if I could do this without hanging myself. But I got a cable here. Where's my Cryonaut? Oh, nope. It's in my project box, so I'm not going to dig through that on camera. That would be annoying for you guys. But anyway, yeah, it's just a little syringe of the thermal paste. It comes with little adapter heads, so you can put a nice little smear if you want. I usually just do a line, and then when I seat the heat sink on top of it, you got to make sure you're not doing this with your heat sink. You're not moving it all around, okay? So you just do a nice gentle seat, and then you put your pins in, and then that's it. It smushes it out like a pancake, and it covers the chip, okay? You don't need to use a lot. You really don't. Just a tiny little, like I said, like a grain of rice, okay? It'll be enough to cover it. You'll know if you didn't use enough, because the first time you turn on your gamma after doing your upgrades, you will like almost immediately get an overheat. Okay, and what that to me usually means is the thermal paste didn't seat correctly, or the heat sink is not seated correctly. That's some troubleshooting you might have to do. But generally, you don't want to cram the heat sink down. Okay, that's why I like these pins, these spring pins that Solo Satoshi uses on theirs. Those spring pins pretty much make sure it seats comfortably, and then that's it. Then I put it on. Sign asks, is there a dry time before you turn it on? Mine sits for about, you mean for the thermal paste? I turn mine on after I'm done upgrading everything. I've never had a problem. So the paste, it stays, liquid isn't the term. It stays gooey. It stays pasty when it's on there. So you don't need to necessarily let it dry. As for the alcohol prep pad when you're cleaning, that's near instant. It evaporates. Yeah, I think Pleb Source does use those too, Sign. You're right. But I do like the pin ones. They do tend to work a little better. I think they seat it correctly. And like I said, guys, you don't want to cram it down, okay? This is not a fight to see who could win between you cramming the heat sink onto the top of the ASIC chip and the board, okay? You can damage the chip and the board by pushing or securing, like if you have screws, you can actually screw it down too hard, and you can damage your BITAXE. So you just tighten it and just make sure it's not loose and it's not squished, okay? It's firmly on there. There's no other way for me to put it. I wish I can give you like a foot-pounds type of thing, but just if you've ever tightened something, hand tight, okay? It's hand tight. You're not cranking it down, right? That's why those pins are great, because when you use those pins, it seats and it holds it. Like you don't have to worry about it. You just kind of click them in, okay? So hopefully that makes sense. So now we've talked about 3 things so far. We've talked about the heat sink itself. We've talked about the fan that goes on top of the heat sink, and we've talked about the thermal paste. Those three things right there, you could stop your upgrades and you are good to go. You have, congratulations, you have upgraded your gamma, and you're probably going to be hashing more than the average bear. Okay, so that's great. That's a great start. Some other little tweaks you can do. You can get, let me find these here real quick. Copper heat sink for, there we go, for Raspberry Pi. So you can go ahead and get some bags of these. Well, it's like $5.99. You can get a bag of them. These are little heat sinks. They have an adhesive on the back of them. It's not the greatest adhesive. It is a thermal adhesive to try to help move the heat between the object it's touching and the copper fins, the copper base of the fins. I use these. I also use some of the other ones, these ones right here, the aluminum ones, okay? I actually have this kit, I think. So I do notice the copper works better than the aluminum. But yeah, that paste isn't the greatest, but you're not going for maximum efficiency with these, okay? This is not a fight. You're going for just, it's at this point, it is, it's little tiny tweaks that just help keep things cool, right? Help move that heat away. So on this one that I was showing you as my example, okay, this one that's not fully upgraded, I slapped as you can see right there, let me go full screen for a minute, make this easier on y'all, so I'm not shoving that in your face. So above the fan, right next to right below the connector here, right there, I slapped one, okay, that helps keep things cool right there. On the back, I've got two. I've got one right here and one right here. Okay, there's that box, and it's just angled off of that. I'm sorry, I know that's blurry, guys. Okay, and does it help? I think so. It doesn't hurt. I haven't seen any issues. Okay, I haven't seen any issues with it, so it doesn't hurt. Now, some people you will see put one on here. I don't do that. Okay, I leave that one blank. So Sign said, could you explain why we would be doing this upgrade? So again, the whole purpose there is moving heat off of like the voltage regulator area. When you're looking at your AXOS, you're going to see two main temperatures. Okay, you're going to see your chip temp for your ASIC and your voltage regulator. That's controlling the power. Okay, that gets hot as well, and it's generally overlooked. Okay, but that getting hot makes the whole rest of the system hot. It does cause issues with the general performance of your BITAXE. And if anything else, it can cause wear and tear on your BITAXE. So again, we want these to last as long as possible, right? We want them to run in a healthy manner. We want them to be, we want them to run cool and run efficiently. So anything we can do that doesn't hinder it, but does help it, if you can, you can. So the keeping that voltage regulator area cool is key as well. Now, this is where we're going to get into like another step. Okay, so this is where we're going to talk about putting a fan that faces the back of your BITAXE. Okay, and what it's going to do is it's just moving the air off of it. Okay, now many of us, I've got, as you can see behind me right there, I've got these little USB fans that I get on Amazon. Okay, and I put those behind my BITAXEs and I have them blow air on it. Do I need to do that? Oh, I don't have a fan on the back of it, so I've noticed that it does help keep the unit overall cooler. So you can go with that. That's fine. If you don't want to do all the upgrades, you do not have to have a fan, actually, like a Noctua fan on the back of it. Now, here's where we're going to talk about something that's pretty cool. So if you follow me on X, last week I put out a call and I said, hey, I'm trying to do a project for a BITAXE case, and I want to make my own little Cinco Doggos edition BITAXE where I do the upgrades I do, and kind of we're gonna do it as some giveaways. We're gonna give them away. So when I do my BITAXE giveaways, you'll be getting a Cinco Doggos edition, and then we're also gonna do. I'm not speaking for one of the retailers here in the area, but we are going to do one that if you buy one of these, it's going to part of the proceeds goes to a charity. I'm not going to make any profit off of it. I'm going to provide the cases to the manufacturer, to the retailer. They're going to ship it in the box, and that way the money they're saving on not printing the cases, they can put toward, we're going to put it toward the flood victims here in Kerrville, Texas. Okay. So that's the goal with that. So that'll come out soon. Just keep an eye out for that. That's a TBA, okay, to be announced. But I wanted to give you guys a sneak peek because I did ask for anyone who can do like Blender designs or 3D designs, because I'm really not good at it. I tried, I effed it up. My first one I did, I basically just took like an online version of a BITAXE case and I added Cinco Doggos to the bottom of it, which you can barely see. Okay, and I was like, yeah, that's about the extent of my level. But that's not what we're doing. So I had asked, I said, who out there in the community, you guys are all such creative people. All right, you're such creative people. And I was like, there's got to be somebody who is willing to work for some sats. I'll pay you in Lightning. I'll make a Lightning payment to you to design me a case the way I want it. Okay, so I did it. And there's still some people out there designing cases, but I got my first one back and I really like it. So I want to kind of unveil it to you guys. And I don't know if Mr. Gensler's in chat who designed this one, but if he is, cool, I'm glad you're here. But kudos to him. I'll link him. Give him a shout out on X later. But he designed the first case that we're looking at, and we're doing a couple tweaks to it. It's not completely done yet. Tiny minor tweaks. But tiny minor tweaks. Did I say tiny miney? Mining. Okay, so here we go. This is the first unveiling of the Cinco Doggos Ranch BITAXE Gamma or Supra case. Okay, so first and foremost, here's the base. Okay, you got your toe beans for the dogs. That's your base. That's what it sits on. Here is the case. Okay, now Cinco Doggos Ranch on the side, and then up the top, I don't have it attached yet because I just printed this last night. There's another toe bean on each side, little dog footprint on each side. Okay, now let's talk about why this case. Oh, and it sits like, it'll sit like that on the, so that's your front, that's your back. Okay, so it'll sit on the doggy footprint. Okay, so what's with this design that's different than other cases? And I'm not saying this is the best case in the world, anything like that, right? This is just how I wanted it because we're testing this, right? Yes, the back fan exactly sign. That's the key thing. So basically how this will work is your BITAXE. We kind of just, I hope I don't drop this because you guys know I'm a klutz. Your BITAXE will sit on the front, okay, and it'll have your big old fan on the front or whatever you're doing. There is a air gap right there that is enough room to get the Y connector cable from your BITAXE to power both your fan and to feed it through. And there is a hole right there to feed the cable through for your secondary fan, which is a 40 Noctua. Now I'm using the thicker Noctua fan. That was my preference. And then that will just go, it'll just snap right in the back there and it will move that air. Now there is an air gap in the bottom and it's vented at the top and you vent it at the side. So it moves that air off of it. Okay. That's the whole goal, is to blow that hot air off of it. Okay. So that's that. And then that gap right there is where the case connects to the toe beans. Okay. So basically what the Cinco Doggos edition is, it's just what everybody else does when they upgrade it themselves. So I'm just calling it that. I did not innovate anything like super fancy, right? But it just gives you the ability to have a nice case. I think it's a nice case. I like this design so far. That has your oops, there we go. That has all your cooling needs ready to go. Nice display. It's got my name on it, and that makes me happy. And just because it's a little more unique and it's, again, I love my dogs, right? My dogs are my life. And my daughter, I love my daughter. She's in college. She knows I love her. But my dogs are my life. And my daughter works with dogs. She's a groomer. She started working in my business back when she was a young teenager as a kennel technician. And she has stayed in the dog industry. And while she's in college up in Denver, she actually is a dog groomer. So a licensed dog groomer. So went to school for it and everything. So anyway, we're a dog family, right? So anyway, that'll sit on the cool little Cinco Doggos base. There's Duke. There's Duke right there. So, okay, I'm going to wrap this up in like 15 minutes, guys, because I have a voice meeting at 1 o'clock with a possible sponsor for the show. So I want to get ready for that. But anyway, this. Okay, so I hope that you think it's kind of cool. I think it's kind of cool. The cases, I'll be also, if like you just want to do it yourself, I'll print these cases out for people at like shipping cost. Okay, it's not a big deal. These are just regular PLA. Okay, it's regular PLA. If you would prefer, that means that it's just the regular filament that you use that's made of cornstarch, okay, that most 3D printers use. If you would prefer it in PET G, which is the one that's better for higher heats and it's a little shinier, you would just have to let me know and I can print you one out in PET G. That's not a big deal. Just switch out the filaments. And then, we'll just have to work out shipping. You can, we'll figure it out. You can, PayPal me or you can Lightning me, some sats or whatever works. Let me look at chat real quick. Okay, Jamie says, who takes sats? I've actually done a few deals now through X, through the Bitcoin Army with folks, and I've purchased things, and I've paid in Satoshis. I've also done a few charity things where like people were having a hard time, and I sent them Satoshis. Like, so yeah, I'm trying to make it, for myself at least on par with cash if I can, if not trying to bypass using it as that. The VR temp with the stand, I don't know yet, Cordic. That is a good question. This literally came off the 3D printer about an hour and a half ago. I finished up, and we are still doing a couple tweaks. Just right now, there's a couple things we're tweaking. The stand doesn't meet correctly with the toe beam setup, so I haven't been able to fully mount it. I will have that information because if it doesn't show any type of significant change, or for some reason if it causes a negative effect, then we're going to alter it. Okay, so before it goes live, before we start shipping these suckers out to people who want them, we're going to make sure it's proper. And I will tell people I will post the stats because I want to do a 24-hour run on it and show the heat, and I'll record my Axe OS for that 24 hours, just monitoring that. And when I do that, I'm going to go ahead and like close the door, turn the fans off in my room, and just see it without any just at ambient room temperature. And for my house, that's about 75 degrees Fahrenheit is what we keep it at. So we will definitely do that. Sign asks, now we will run into issues with the power draw. Also, with both fans will both fans be monitored or controlled from the Axe IO? So with the Axe OS, you can't control individual fans, and it's just a splitter. So whatever one is set to, they're both going to do. Okay, they're just both going to do it. So that's kind of how that's going to run. Generally, I just run my fans at 100% anyway. I don't have it fluctuate. And I'm sorry, guys. I know you constantly see me looking this way. That's where my chat screen is, so I can see you guys talking. So yeah, I generally run my fans. I just leave it at 100% because that way it runs. These little Noctua fans will run for years before they burn out if you keep them clean. So I'm not worried about anything like that. Yeah, Jamie, with the 3D printing stuff, I enjoy it. It's a fun hobby. It's really cool. So yeah, absolutely. Hit me up. But yeah, Sign, that is a good question. So also on power draw for you guys, and this is just a little reminder for you guys that actually like are running multiple BITAXes, you may want to eventually look into something like a Meanwell, okay, where you can put, instead of having all these power packs and plugs like I do, you can get a Meanwell and you can just attach them. You gotta do a little bit of, you're gonna have to YouTube it if you've never done your own like electrical cord clipping. You're gonna definitely want to do that. Okay, you're definitely gonna want to do that. Don't just pick one of these up. They're only like $25 or $30 on Amazon. Okay, for a Meanwell. But anyway, those are good because you can put like 4 to 6 BITAXes on one, so or more. It depends on the Meanwell you get. So you can just kind of put it on that way. But then again, now we're getting into upgrades that are like, you're like mid tier and up when you're doing that. You know what I mean? You're starting to get to the point where you're doing actual like alterations of electrical wires, and I do not recommend that for a beginner, a novice. That's something, if you have a friend that's an electrician, or someone who works with electronics, they build computers, they're used to doing stuff like that, get with them and ask them to help you with setting up your wires, okay? It's called, if you look up a Meanwell, Meanwell, here you go, sign, I'll type that in there for you. That's the most common one used. It's basically just it's a multi-power unit, okay? It's a power unit, so PSU. But you can hook your stuff up to it, okay? You get a plug. It doesn't come with a plug. You've got to get your own plug and with bare wires to attach to it, and then you get wires that you come off of. You get your connector wires that go to the. I'm sorry, I'm looking for my BITAXE. That'll come off of. You've got your connector that comes off that goes to the power pack, and instead of using the power pack, you're kind of bundling all those together and running it all to the Meanwell. Okay, and again, I'm not getting into that today because that is much higher level. I don't want to confuse things and get things all mucked up right now with what we're talking about. But that is a future thing we'll talk about. But so the 3 to 4 most common upgrades that are done to the BITAXE are A, the heatsink, which again, a lot of these guys are solving for us. They're coming out with these cool heat sinks. B, the thermal paste. Okay, so you're getting that good heat transfer from the ASIC chip to the bottom of the heatsink. C, the top fan that goes on the heatsink that blows the air through the blades of the heatsink, right? To move the air, to move the hot air from between the blades out so it can move more heat. And then, of course, a back fan. Okay, and so back fan not necessary. Oh, and then your bonus is, of course, the your little heat sinks that you can put around the unit as well. Okay, so there's that. You can do that. There's all kinds of cool little things you can do with these units, guys. But anyway, I'm hoping that this takes off in a way that it actually works great. I'm excited for it. Again, I've got a couple more designs coming as well, so there might be multiple designs. Like you can pick like an A or a B. So far, this is the one that's we have a prototype for. Okay, that I printed up. But again, it'll sit on the toe beams base, right? So it'll have a nice wide base to hold it down, because sometimes the bases, guys, they can be a little narrow or thin, that the bases that the BITAXEs come with. So when you start adding heavy fans and heats or heavy heat sinks and stuff, it can kind of make it a little weeble wobbly. So having a wider base was a key for me, and that's why I was like, let's make it toe beams because that's cool and it looks like dog stuff. So we got that, having good airflow, so the honeycomb sides, and then of course that back area for putting in a fan to mount easily without it like hanging or anything like that. Okay, so that is another way. I've seen some cool cases that they put a fan in the top. The fan connector goes up there. I had one that I was working with as a prototype. But anyway, the fan went in the top, and it just basically it blew the air. You could either suck it out the top or put the fan in the bottom and blow it out the top. It was like however you wanted to set it up. But anyway, that's kind of the key thing with that. Now, where are we at? We're just at an hour, so I'm about to finish up here. But, so yeah, real quick, I'm going to show you some cool other little projects I was working on if you have not been following me on X. So first of all, I made a S19. I used this tiny S19 case that I found online. I printed some black fake fans, and I made a little tiny S19, and I put 2 nerd miners in it. I'm going to give this away. So keep an eye on my X, because I will be giving this away sometime this week. Somebody will get this. And you just plug it in to 2 little USB-Cs, and then you've got 2 little nerd miners. They only got about 75 kilohash a piece. It's not much, but it's a cool little, I think it's a cool little talking piece. And then of course you got your screens that light up and they display things. So I'll be giving this away to somebody. This is like a $70 unit, I would guess, for everything here. That would be about $70 to do that. So somebody will get that. I also have, if you have nerd miners or you want to give a nerd miner to someone, I have these little cradles, these little nerd miner cradles to put it in, to put the little ESP board in. So I got some cool little things I've been working on. Like I said, I worked on my own version of a case, and I mean, does it work? Yeah, I mean, it works. It just wasn't what I really wanted. So that was the extent of my design, and that is me trying to design things, and you guys don't want me doing that. Now, one other cool little side project. I'm going to turn this into a BITAXE case. Now, you guys might have seen me. I printed, so I'm a 40K fan, Warhammer 40K. I printed out this servo skull that I found on Thingiverse, right? 2 pieces. Anyway, I'm going to turn one of these into a BITAXE mount, like probably like in the skull. I'll put a hole and it's going to sit and hold a BITAXE. But what I did was I got some bone-colored PLA and some copper-colored PLA, and I did that. I think it looks pretty sharp. So it'll have like LEDs in the eyes and things like that. And that'll just kind of be a centerpiece. It'll kind of be like a little crossover between Bitcoin mining and Warhammer 40K with the servo. Basically, the servo skull is the BITAXE Bitcoin miner. So I'm just doing corny little stuff like that because I'm a nerd. But anyway, that's what we got. So as we're wrapping up right now, we just hit an hour. I want to go ahead and wrap it up. But do you guys have any questions? Please ask in the chat if you've got any questions right now. I'd be happy to answer your questions. I'm glad that there are so many people. We've got 87 viewers in here right now. That's great. I'm glad you guys are taking an interest in home mining. Home mining is very important. It is the way we decentralize the network. It is how people learn about Bitcoin, okay? The best way that I have learned about Bitcoin wasn't by DCAing or reading the Mastering Bitcoin Programming book, which is a good book, but I've learned more from mining and tweaking my BITAXes than I have from just about anything, okay? It made me want to set up my own node. So I run my own node. Let me go ahead and get that going. We'll make that full screen for right now. Hold on. Where's my mouse? There it is. So we'll go over here. But we run our own node in the house. Boop. Let me see here. We run our own node. We've got our own mempool, of course, that we watch. And that's something I did forget to talk about. I'm sorry, guys. Let me hit that real quick. My ADHD kicked in. So as you can see, in about 11 days, we're looking at about a 0.5% downturn, which means that some miners have gone offline in the global pool, okay? So that just means there could be bad weather somewhere. Who knows? Like, again, we talked about it with Texas. But that's something that I watch. As a miner, this here is what I watch daily. I look at this every day. If you listen to my daily updates that I put out, the shorts, you hear me talk about this all the time, okay? So anyway, I run my own node. I'm on 2 different pools with my miners. My solo pool is, I have a Datum solo pool that I run via Ocean, okay, but it's a solo pool with Datum, so it's all my stuff. So love that. But I also have some miners in another pool. It's a much larger, well-known pool, and I do that because I'm experimenting with some different pools. I'm testing to see if I actually get what they say you're going to get with their pricing and whatnot. So I'm, with their percentile that they take. Still love Ocean the most. Ocean is definitely the best, and I like their 8-block spread that they do. So if my miners do go offline, I still get an 8 blocks, for a couple hours or whatever because of the storm. I still get an 8-block spread, and I'm not really losing anything. So I like how they do things there. So definitely recommend Ocean. But I am experimenting with another pool as well, just because I'm bringing in sats from that a little more often than Ocean right now. And those are getting converted right back into ROI for the equipment. And then once that ROI is complete, my return on investment, they all go right to the Ocean pool. But I do recommend if you are running your own BITAXes and you're not ready to start a node, go ahead and put them in a. It was 100% of the people in the community are amazing. Something we know every day. Yeah. Oh, Parasite. Yeah. So the only reason why I haven't said Parasite is I did play around with Parasite a little bit. I haven't. I took my miners off of Parasite. It's not a hate thing. It's just I haven't experimented with them. I got nothing against Parasite. I think it's a great idea. I cannot wait for the day Parasite hits a block. Okay, that's going to be a huge day for solo and home miners. Okay, little leery about the ordinal stuff that goes around there, but I am one of those guys that's to each his own when it comes to mining. So that's not hate. Please don't take it that way. It's just one of those things where I'm like, oh, that's interesting. But yeah, I prefer to run my own node, obviously. But I do run knots. There's reasons. We're not going to get into those today, but I do run knots. Parasite is a good option. Absolutely. Sign is right. Parasite is a good option. It is a small pool that is growing, and it has some really good flex behind it with its community, and I like to see that. And like I said, I can't wait to see them hit a block. That's going to be great. And then if Ocean continues on its run, let me see. They did hit like 8 blocks in a 24-hour period the other day, but it looks like, where are we at? Where's Ocean? Did we fall off? Looks like we might have fallen off. I might have passed it and I'm not even paying attention, guys. Anyway, why am I not seeing it there? I might have to update my settings on there. For some reason it's not showing it. But anyway, oh, there it is. There's Ocean. Boop. Thank you. Okay, Ocean, and then like in the last 24 hours they've hit 2 blocks. But the other day they had a run, man. They hit like 8 blocks in a day. It was great to see. But yeah, so I do recommend running your own node if you can. Okay, if you look up Sats Daddy on X, he talks a lot about how to set up your node. I use Umbrel. I know some people don't like Umbrel. I don't have a problem with it. I enjoy my Umbrel. It's very easy to set up and use. It just reminds me a lot of like Apple iOS, and so it was simple to set up. And I clicked a few buttons and it went right online. Start 9 is another great option, and then of course you can build your own. Okay, it depends on your skill level. I've built my own out of an old laptop, and I've also done Umbrel, and I prefer the Umbrel just because it's this big. It's sitting on a shelf back there. You can't even see it. It's like that big. It's the size of a coin purse, and yeah, it has a very small footprint, and it's just out of sight, out of mind. I just bring it up on my computer when I want to look at things. It's on that little laptop I have over here so I can monitor things. But yeah, so. But you do not have to run your own node when you're starting out, guys. There's no requirement, but it is good to do so. That'll be a completely different episode that we talk about that, though. That's off topic for today. So, I guess that's what we have for questions. That was a good question Sign had about Parasite Pool. Again, I didn't mean to overlook it. I know I keep going back to it because I feel bad. I did not mean to overlook Parasite Pool. They are definitely a great option. But like if you don't have your own pool, you're not into Parasite Pool, you don't want to set up something on Datum with Ocean doing it solo, there's Public Pool, right? There's CK Pool. There's options. You just got to look it up, and you can find plenty of options for your BITAXEs. If anyone wants some more one-on-one time, if you need some help, like you have questions about doing your little upgrades we talked about, feel free to reach out to me on X. I'm at Cinco Doggos. You can grab me there. If you have not liked and subscribed, please do so. If you're watching this through YouTube, I would appreciate it. If I can hit that 500 subscriber mark, I'm about a little more than halfway there. Again, I'm not doing this for the money, but if I ever did get monetized on something, guys, I'm just turning it back over to you guys as prizes and giveaways. I currently have a giveaway going on X for 2 BITAXEs. Okay, 2 BITAXEs, and they might actually get one of the new cases and the setup if that's the case. So check out that. It's very simple. You got to repost and then name a movie and change the word to Bitcoin. Like that's it. That's all I ask for you. I don't ask you to put 3 friends in there or tell me your social security number or what year you had your first hot dog. None of that stupid crap. It's just something very simple. Anyone can participate in my giveaways. So yeah. And that's going till this Friday. On the 18th, we'll do that drawing. So you still got 4 days to go ahead and do that. But other than that, I'm going to go ahead and start preparing for my meeting. I really appreciate all you guys coming out and checking this out today. I hope you learned something. I really, really do appreciate your support. Again, if you have questions, feel free to DM me, and I'd be happy to answer your questions. And if I don't know the answer, I will try to find somebody that I can get with you that does know the answer. Okay, I'm not just going to spout something off and pretend like I know, because that doesn't help the community, right? So I'll make sure that I can get you with somebody who does know. But yeah, all you solo home miners out there, keep it up. You guys are amazing. What you are doing for the world is overlooked by the majority of the world. But those of us who know think you guys are heroes and champions. That's why I always say, like, hey, great job, champ, something like that, because I really do think everybody who's a home miner is a champion. You guys are helping to decentralize the network. You are adding to the global hash pool, even if it's just a little bit. You are securing Bitcoin for the future, for me, for yourself. So it's as much selfish as it is selfless when you do it. You invested $100 or a little over $100, and you got yourself a cool little device that is changing the world. So please keep doing that. And if you're getting ready, you're at that point where you're saying, you know what, I think I might want to do some more mining. I want to get something a little bigger than just a little solo miner. I want to maybe get into some pool mining. Take a look at my videos. I talk about that as well. There's some inexpensive ways you can do it. And yeah, if you've got questions, hit me up. I'm happy to help as much as I can. So guys, this is Monday, July 14th, 2025. Cinco Doggos signing off. Thanks again. You all are the best. I will see you later this week. Now I got to close everything out. So we do